So I hope you enjoy the rest of the afternoon. I hope you're well fed. You've got lots of energy because we have an awesome speaker up next. It is my honor to introduce to you Amber Mack. Thank you for joining us.
It's really nice to be at a conference where people actually hug. I do a lot of speaking, and most of the time I'm at business conferences, and there's not a lot of hugging going on. I wanted to first apologize for being so late. 3 hours, that was how long it took us to get from downtown Toronto to here because of all the traffic and accidents. So it was a pretty intense morning, but my friend Karen was with me and she read all of your tweets along the way, so it was great company as we went on. So thank you for having me here today. First up, I want to tell a little story about my son. So my son is 2.5. He is full of energy. He is also pretty tech savvy, and that's probably not a huge surprise to some of you. He is not yet toilet trained. He can't really count so well, doesn't know his alphabet. However, he can use an iPad like nobody's business. Literally, in the morning, he wakes up and he says, "Mommy, Mommy, iPad, iPad." And I'm like, don't let the neighbors hear you say that. There is something wrong with the fact that you have your own iPad. And of course, I give him the iPad and he has a stand and he goes and he sits down and he has breakfast. And he goes through all of the different applications and he plays his little games. He plays Angry Birds. And most recently, he has figured out how to go onto YouTube and watch YouTube videos and navigate through all the YouTube videos, and he absolutely loves this device. Now, the only problem is, now, while we're in the living room, you know, the family's watching TV, he goes up to the TV screen. Y'all know where I'm going with this, right? He goes up to the TV screen and he literally pushes on the TV screen and he gets so mad. And he has a fit like many toddlers do because the TV will not interact back with them. He's so frustrated with this. And I love to watch this experience of someone so young who is learning how to use technology at a very early age. And it's a deep contrast to how I grew up. I'm from Prince Edward Island. Any other East Coasters here? Woo! I'm from Prince Edward Island, and I went to a one-room schoolhouse. I know, I'm dating myself. I went to a one-room schoolhouse in Dunstaffnage, PEI, which is a tiny little country town. And literally, there was clearly no technology in the classroom whatsoever. And the only exciting thing that happened in our school was that because it was one room, when you were in grade 1, you were in one row. Grade 2, you moved to another row. And in grade 3, you moved to another row. So as you moved over, I mean, this was a big, big deal. And years later, I went back to PEI after I finished journalism school, and I worked for a while there at CBC Charlottetown as a news reporter. This was many years later. I was probably 23 at the time. And as a daily news reporter, your day, it's kind of like Groundhog Day. You're kind of doing the same thing every single day as far as turning around a story. So there were lots of stories where I was going out and I was covering, you know, someone's barn burned down, or it was the opening of lobster season. And after a while, I just kept thinking, there has to be something more. There has to be something more. And I started to also get a little bit interested in the internet, using a lot of different websites and just kind of following the trends that were happening. And I had an opportunity to move to San Francisco. This was in 1999 with my boyfriend at the time. And he said, you know, we have to go. This is where things are happening. San Francisco is where you need to be. So late 1999, I quit my job, even though, you know, it was a great opportunity at CBC, moved to San Francisco and got a gig at Razorfish, a web design company out there. And again, spent a few years out there, so excited about the opportunities that exist online and the possibilities that the internet would truly bring people together around the world, and we can make the world a better place. I've always been very optimistic in my life and really believed that this was going to happen. Years later, more than a decade later, I don't want to say I'm disappointed, but I am sometimes saddened about what we have done with the power that many of us have online. Now, when you look to other parts of the world, like Egypt, for example, the uprising in Egypt recently, and you see how social media has had a huge impact there, and obviously bringing so many people together and getting those people to fight for freedom, that's the kind of passion that I had within me a decade ago when I believed the internet could do so much for us. And today, as much as I love Twitter and social media sites, the one thing that disappoints me is that I believe that we can do more with social media, and I believe that we can make a difference. And I do not want to stand up here and preach to you and say, hey, you know what, I have this all figured out, because I don't. In fact, just last night I went through my Twitter feed, and I've sent out about 15,000 plus tweets since I signed on in early 2007, and probably maybe a few dozen of those tweets are actually sent out to promote a cause or to do something good, and really that ratio isn't good enough. And in my own personal life, I'm trying to do more. And so today I wanted to talk about a few simple things that I think all of us can do with the power of Twitter out there to make this world a better place for people like my son and all of your kids as well. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about is act, don't slack. So these are going to fall into the category of the ABCs. So act, don't slack. There's a lot of people out there who talk about this term slacktivism. And what that is essentially, that means that you're retweeting a message or you're liking a certain company who has decided that they're going to donate money to a cause. And in some ways, although this seems like we're doing something good, it's just not enough. What we have to encourage people to do if you're running a social media campaign out there, we have to encourage people to act. That may be donating money or coming out to an event, but you have to encourage people to actually do something. Nothing frustrates me more when I see a company on Facebook go online and say, you know what, if you like us, we'll donate $1 to breast cancer. And I'm thinking to myself, why don't you just donate that $1 anyway? Shouldn't you just donate the money anyway and do more? So act, don't slack. The second thing is to be creative. So come up with an interesting concept. If you're working on a social media campaign or you have your own personal cause that you want to raise awareness about, do something out there that is really creative. One of the best examples I've seen, which is just a fun one, is an app for your iPhone called Snooze, where every time you hit snooze, 25 cents is donated to your favorite charity. It's such a fun idea. Because there is so much happening out there right now in the social media world, you really need to do something to get noticed and to make a difference. So there's a really creative idea that someone came up with, and sure, it's not solving huge problems, but it's doing something really small, and it's encouraging people to actually take the action that they need to take. And the third message I have for you today is to complete the cycle. And I wanted to tell a story about a recent social media campaign that I've talked about quite a bit in the past few weeks that I think is one of the best social media campaigns for social good. And this is a campaign from Chipotle restaurants in the US. It's a chain of Mexican restaurants, and there are hundreds of these restaurants. They recently put out a video featuring Willie Nelson, and it's a short animated film. And basically it's a cover to a Coldplay song. And Willie Nelson is covering this song. And in the animated film, Chipotle is trying to send the message out there about sustainable food and how they as a company actually encourage that all of the restaurant owners within the chain go out there and use food from local farmers. And the reason I put this in the category of complete the cycle is because many times there are people out there who are launching social media campaigns, are doing things for social good, but they're not actually living it. And what's interesting about this example with Chipotle in terms of completing the cycle is they are actually a company who goes out there and believes in sustainable farming and sustainable food. So they've done a great job with this video campaign. Now, as far as completing the cycle, you're also able to buy this song on YouTube from Willie Nelson, and all the proceeds from the song go towards a foundation that Chipotle has set up to support sustainable farming. So it's really a nice cycle that they've created using social media tools that goes out there, and it's social media for social good. So at the same time that it promotes the restaurants as being, these great, healthy restaurants, it also does something great for the community. So really simple, just 3 quick things that I wanted to talk about today that I think all of us can do more of. So the reason that this is my message versus normally I'm talking a lot about social media strategies and tips and all that stuff is really important is that I believe that with influence comes responsibility. So let me just say that again. Yes. Yes, with influence comes responsibility. And what I've seen a lot of, and I haven't had a chance to think about it too much except after I had my son, I think it kind of hits home that I want this world to be a better place, is there's a lot of people out there in social media communities who have a lot of influence, who have more power, all of you, than you think that you have, and more opportunity to go out there and actually change the world. So with influence comes responsibility. So yes, it's okay, it's fine to hang out and, you know, play in the sandbox, so to speak, and talk to your friends and have fun and send cute little videos and pictures. But the reality is, I believe that we all have a responsibility to do more with these tools and to make this world a better place. So that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for listening.